Zos recently added the Flames of Ambition DLC for their new 2021 chapter, Blackwood. This includes 2 new dungeons. Today, we'll explore the story of one of those, Black Drake Villa. The Black Drake Villa can be found on the northern zone of the Gold Coast, east of the Dark Brotherhood, or via the Dungeon Finder. After the fall of the Longhouse Emperors, this grand retreat stayed largely abandoned aside from the occasional treasure hunter. Most of the spoils of the Durkok campaign across Tamriel went missing, only to appear later on the black market. Entering the dungeon, we see the villa has a large entrance. It appears they are growing grapes out here, and the local lynx population has moved in. They are so cute and harmless. We also see someone has arrived before us. Eveli is a NPC who was first introduced in the Hrothgar DLC Zone story. If you've never met Eveli before...
Well, this seems like the place. Look at the size of it. Hey, you! What are you doing here? They warned me some competition might try to get in my way. And then you saunter up just as I find the place. A mite suspicious, if you ask me. Why did you come here? Who sent you?
I came on my own. Why is this place so important?
No one sent you? What, you just stumbled on this place? You must be an adventurer, like me. Well, you found Black Drake Villa, the former home away from home of the Longhouse Emperors, and the place where they stashed something very important.
What did they keep here?
The people who hired me provided a map to a library under the mansion. My job is to find some book that the old owners hid down there. Hey, care to join forces? Together we can grab this book in no time, and you can keep any loot you find.
Alright, I'll join your search for this book.
An old-fashioned alliance, just like in the stories. Alright.
But if you have met her, she instead says...
Hey, you! What are you doing here? Oh, it's you! We keep running into each other at the funniest spots. You wouldn't be following a lady, would you? Nah, I'm just teasing. Though now that I think on it, why are you here? Were you hired too?
No, I came on my own. Someone hired you?
You know it. They gave me a map to a library underneath Black Drake Villa. This fancy place you see up on the hill. I need to retrieve an important book the former owners hid down there. Sounds like a job for an adventurer, right?
You came all this way for a book?
Books are great! If I'd known this was here, I probably would have come anyway, even if I wasn't getting paid. I have an idea. Want to join me? We worked so well together before, it'll be fun. And you can keep any loot you find.
Sure, I'll come along on your hunt for this book.
An old-fashioned alliance, just like in the stories. Alright, here's our plan. That sewer grate ahead should get us inside. If you could scout ahead, I need to prepare some arrows, just in case, you know?
Sure, what do you know about Black Drake Villa?
Oh, they say the villa holds all sorts of treasures. When nasty old Durkarach marched to Cyrodiil, he snatched up prizes from every city in his path. Paintings, jewelry, other fancy whatsits. You know how tyrants enjoy their baubles.
And he placed it all here?
He sure did. After Durkarach took power, he ordered this estate built. A lot of the loot he grabbed ended up in here. Can you imagine what treasures we'll find inside? And the library? As soon as I heard about it, I knew this job was for me.
How do you know all of this?
Oh, I've read all the books on the Longhouse dynasty. Barbula's invaders from the Reach, Corovel's the Crowned Dragon, even Kostfolk's Longhouse Rising. Though I thought that one was a bit salacious for my taste.
You said someone hired you?
Was the oddest thing. There I am, on my way to explore the ruins in Stormhold, when a courier rides up and hands me a letter. Now, I had many questions. How did she find me? Who knows I'm here? Is this a trap? But no, It was just a simple note.
What was in it?
A request. One Foral Lupus from Riften wished to discuss an opportunity. Quite intriguing, I thought. So, off I went. It was quite the secret affair. I never actually met the man, but my contact warned I should tell no one. Which...
Yes. Do you often take jobs from people you never meet?
I should be honest. I don't really get hired that often. Usually I just wander about looking for an adventure. But not only did this sound exciting, also my biscuit bin was a bit low, if you know what I mean. I was happy for the gold.
Entering through the sewer grate, since the front door is barred, we see goblins, minotaurs, and salamanders have infested the interior. Fighting past them, we make our way deeper inside.
Look at this place. A lot more run down than I imagined. Do you smell that? The stench of smoke. Something's on fire down below. Not a great sign. Foral Lupus's agent, go-between really, warned that others might be on their way here as well. People who wish to destroy the place and take the book for themselves. I hope whatever is burning doesn't mean they beat me here.
Who would want to destroy this villa?
Good question. The contact stayed vague on that point, but I guess we're about to meet them. I hope you don't mind if this exploration mission turns into a fight.
I'm ready for anything.
I hoped you'd say that. You have the adventurous spirit, I can see it. Let's keep going. The entrance to the library should be just up ahead.
Wait, who were those goblins I just fought?
Goblins? Oh, those angry ones skulking around in here. I think since no one's been here since Leovic died, they must have moved in. I mean, why not? I can't imagine they'll cause too much trouble for us.
I would be neglecting if I didn't mention this dungeon has 4 secret bosses. I won't go into much detail, but some things to remember if you want to activate them are that you need 4 players to activate them. Look around each area carefully. There will be pressure plates in each section to unlock the secret to get to that level's boss. And in order to get to the final boss, after the final non-secret boss, you must have collected all of the avatar fragments, or the white motes you see floating around, that you can find from the start of the dungeon to the end. In the normal mode, it sounds like you need about 25 each, but for vet mode, it's more like 30. We're thinking for a group total, you need either 100 or 120 on vet. And finally, to get to that secret boss, you also need to have beaten the other secret bosses. So keep on searching for them while you progress through the dungeon. Each boss will also have a power boost that helps with the next section, and with enough avatar fragments, you can also use the avatar plates found all over the dungeon to morph into powerful avatars that wield environmental abilities. You can see these abilities and how many fragment motes you have picked up by viewing your character information. Alright, I hope I didn't lose anybody there. After entering the overgrown courtyard and fighting the first boss, Kenray's Iron Eye, the leader of the goblins.
Look at that big boy! I'll help you from up here.
He likes to throw down totems to protect himself and has help from spicy salamanders. Eveli tells us that we need to move this party downstairs to get to the Grand Archive Library.
So much smoke! We have to hurry! The map says this hatch is the easiest way into the library. Come on! Hey, look! What do you guess is in here? Arrows! Nice ones, too. Why would someone leave these around? Alright, here we are. According to the map, this hatch opens to a walkway that leads to the Grand Archive. Once we're in, let's find the book and get out of here.
What's the Grand Archive?
That's the library I told you about. Stories claim it's a massive underground collection of books, scrolls, and artifacts that the Longhouse Emperor has gathered over the years. Volumes of secrets and knowledge might lay right under our feet.
Huh. And who was that massive minotaur?
Sorry about that. Based on the armor, I'd wager that was Kinross Eye. He led the goblins that we saw earlier. I heard he was around this area, but didn't know he took over the villa. I guess some warning could have helped.
You said you found some arrows?
I did. Quite fancy ones, in fact. Lighter than a baby jay's tail feathers. The best part of these little excursions is finding all the stuff people leave behind. Sometimes it's a plate of old sweet rolls, but once in a while I find something handy.
Following her down, we find a few more enemies along the corridors.
No, what have they done? They burned the entire library!
Oh no!
So many books. All those stories just gone. We should split up to find the book before this whole place turns to ash.
After seeing that horrifying scene of the books burning and all the knowledge lost, we head further in. The area is being patrolled by true sworn knights, reavers, scouts, their hounds, and burning specters. Searching around this area before we move on, we find a book on the north side up the stairs. The Crowned Dragon. Eveli had mentioned she had read this when we first met up with her at the entrance to the dungeon. The Crowned Dragon by Ogrethan Coravel, being a hagiography of His Imperial Majesty Durkhok the Black Drake, commissioned in the first year of his glorious reign. What can be said of a man who changed the world, who delivered countless multitudes from the darkness and sinful sloth of a society drowning in its own decadence, who put to flight the corrupt elites, fattening themselves on the wealth of a people so deluded and disillusioned that no longer knew what justice was? What can be said of Durkhok the Black Drake, Cyrodiil's savior? Where would we be without long overdue reckoning and redress of wrongings he brought to us? Bow down, O Cyrodiil, and give thanks for your liberation. Surely the birth of a new era is at hand. The Durkhok's story begins in the clean wilderness and the snowy mountains of the north. A great comet blazed across the sky on the night of our future emperor's birth, and 7 sevens of silver swans flew over his mother's humble shelter in the hour he came into the world. All who beheld the infant was struck by the strong beauty of his young face, with eyes so dark and fierce that great warriors could not bear to meet his gaze. It must be said that our future emperor was raised in no palace befitting his magnificence, but rather in the humblest and hardest of environments. The great wilderness of the Reach is home to many trials and dangers, but these challenges served only to strengthen the boy emperor from his earliest days and teach him the value of courage, honor, endurance, and wisdom. At the age of 3, young Durkhok saved his mother's life by seizing his father's hunting spear and slaying with one fell stroke a great black bear that had already devoured 20 men. And when he was only 5 years of age, Durkhok saved his village from starving in a cold, hard winter by hunting a herd of 100 elk from Kirthwaston to the high peaks of the Durkhok Mountains. Mighty in the hunt from the time he could walk, Durkhok soon learned wisdom as well. The eagle taught him how to hear the tidings of far lands carried on the winds, and how to see into a man's heart with a single glance. The swift icy stream leaping down from the peaks taught him to make music so lovely that no one who heard the boy emperor sing could ever again find joy in any less song. And the great gray wolves taught him the meaning of courage, loyalty, and leadership. In his hard homeland, young Durkok soon found it necessary to master the ways of war. On his 7th birthday, a tribe of giants as tall as 100-year-old trees invaded the peaceful pastures in which his people kept their flocks. The rest of the manuscript is charred and unreadable. After clearing the area, we make our way deeper into the Grand Archive. Entering into a new chamber, we come across Pyro Turd in Crates, who seems to be looking for something, a book. The same book Eveli is looking for?
Someone else wants the book. We cannot allow this. Hold them off while I keep looking.
In order to distract us, he calls for aid while he searches further. After the swarms of true sworn and burning specters clears up, we see there's a wall of fire stopping our progress.
What with those fancy arrows I found can do? All right, I'm here. What'd I miss? Their leader said he's after the book. We need to find it before he does. That cross fellow who set the fires, he called out that he's looking for a book. I bet all the berries in Blackmarsh that he wants the same thing we do. So let's get there first. You take the lower path, and I'll head up top. We might cut him off.
Your new arrows put out the fire?
Seems so. I assume a water enchantment of some kind. I've read about magic like that, but never really had too much interest in the stuff. Seems like cheating. Sure helped us out in a jam, though.
They might be useful in the future.
Oh, I used the last one, saving your hide. I'm not too troubled about it. You know how treasure can be. Lightly come, lightly go. Come on, let's find that book.
Further into the archive, Eveli travels above us as we go. She says she finds a journal with some strange scribbles.
Hey, up here! Look at this journal I just found. The writing is all strange scribbles. I think I'll hold on to it. I saw that book burner just ahead. Keep going. Hold this line!
She's keeping it and will review it later. The book burner should be just up ahead. After clearing the way, we find a letter lying on the ground. Imperial Decree regarding the Elder Council. First Sun's Dawn, Second Era, 554. At the pleasure of His Imperial Majesty, Durkok the Black Drake, first of his name, first of his house, by law of conquest, Emperor of Cyrodiil and Protector of Tamriel, let the following be made known to all citizens of the Empire. The Elder Council is hereby established as follows. In token of his long experience and proven loyalty to the Ruby Throne, High Counselor Abnar Tharn shall remain in his position as a member of the Elder Council and Chief Advisor to the Emperor. Legate Tarnian Lavidicus of Leawin is hereby seated as representative of the Tres Nebian and named Chief Counselor in appreciation of the general's respect and honor in which he is held throughout Cyrodiil. Iridus Vandacia of Gideus shall be appointed to the Elder Council for his service and assistance in establishing the reign of the Longhouse Emperors. Counselor Sophia of Blackwood shall remain in his position as representative of Blackwood, with the full confidence of His Majesty the Emperor. Counselor Itina shall remain in her position as representative of Colovia, with the full confidence of His Majesty the Emperor. Counselor Orlandus Flavi is hereby banished from the realm on pain of death. Counselor Hysteria Celian is hereby sentenced to death by quartering such sentence to be carried out immediately. Counselor Martix Gran Ocalia is hereby sentenced to death by immolation, with such sentence to be carried out immediately. In light of his absence from the proceedings, Counselor Sergen Eurafris is hereby named criminal, traitor, and enemy of the Ruby Throne. A bounty of 1,000 gold drakes is offered for the capture and return to the White Gold Tower, dead or alive. Lord Fumus Lucasta of the Imperial City is hereby seated as representative at large in token of the general respect and honor in which he is held throughout Cyrodiil. Kelgan, the Taker of Teeth, also named the Troll Breaker, is hereby seated as representative at large in token of his great enthusiasm for carrying out his Imperial Majesty's will and his many fell deeds in various battles of his Majesty's recent campaigns. So let it be written. And in the next room, we find a book, High Chancellor's Papers, the Tag Drelok, from the private papers of Abner Tharn, High Chancellor of the Elder Council, 10th Seed, 2nd Era, 536. Who are the Tag Drelok? How did they gain the power to put a Reachman on the Ruby Throne, and to what end? 3 years after the Durkok, the Black Drake, led a screaming horde of his countrymen into the heart of the Empire, I am still seeking answers to these questions. My divinations and spies have failed to provide anything more than hints about Durkok's uncanny rise or the grim witchmen who delivered the Reach and therefore the Empire into his hands. As best I can determine, a secret coven came into the wilds of the Reach some 20 years ago. They took the name Tag Drelok, which means High Dark Wizards, in the dialect of the Reach. Unlike most Reach covens, the Tag Drelok were made up exclusively of witchmen, not witches, and they soon demonstrated an aptitude for summoning and commanding even the most powerful Daedra. The Tag Drelok easily broke several rival covens standing in their way and made themselves the secret masters of the Reach. For years, the Tag Drelok seemed content to bide their time, allowing the dread of their name and whispers of their displeasure to govern the unruly Reach for them. But 9 years ago, an exceptionally strong and clever chieftain by the name of Durkok arose and began to build a following in the Reach. Despite his lack of learning, Durkok was a sorcerer of no small skill in his own right, although he preferred the sword to the stave, as if the Tag Drelok had at last found the man they had been waiting for. The secret coven allied itself with the Black Drake and placed their power and their fearsome name at his command. With the aid of Tag Drelok, Durkok subdued all rival clans in the Reach, demanding their loyalty. Reachmen I have spoken to sometimes hint at bargains struck with Daedric powers and promises too fearful to repeat, but whatever the truth of these tales, the results were clear. Within a year of his adoption by the Tag Drelok, Durkok commanded 2,000 spears. Within 2 years, he commanded 10,000. And at last, judging his strength sufficient to his ambition, he unleashed a horde many times that size upon an unsuspecting Tamriel. The rest is, as they say, history. Then, having engineered Durkok's rise to power, the Tag Drelok disappeared. Once the Black Drake was seated on the Ruby Throne, these mysterious witchmen returned to obscurity. It seems that some of the sorcerers who stand high in Durkok's confidence, Basleg, Foishur, perhaps Old Winnig, were members of this secret brotherhood, yet no one has heard a whisper of the Tag Drelok since Durkok conquered Cyrodiil. What did they gain from making Durkok into an emperor? How many still live? Did they disband, or does some new enterprise now occupy their attention? The most unsettling element of this entire business is that the Emperor Durkok seems well aware of my efforts to ferret out the secrets of the Tag Drelok. He appears to find it amusing. The Black Drake has certainly showed no hesitation in disposing of any potential threat to his rule, and yet he is still content to allow me to continue in my place at the head of the Elder Council. Surely he knows that I am seeking the means of his removal, even as I use my position to ameliorate the excesses of his barbaric reign. I am left with only one conclusion. Durkok thinks I am no threat to him. I must admit that his confidence stings my pride. Walking into the next area, we finally come across the next boss, Captain Jimius. As we fight her, she calls forth elemental avatars in shades to fight us. After we defeat her, we move into the Flooded Gardens, where we learn a fun new mechanic. And we find Eveli again.
These fools aren't so tough. Come on, their leader ran just over the hill. We can't let them destroy everything. Anything that we can save, we should. All this knowledge. I could read these books for years.
Who do you think these people are?
Your guess is as good as mine. One of them called themselves the True Sworn. But sworn to who? And why destroy the villa instead of ransacking it like normal people? Questions that need to wait. After that arsonist.
You mentioned picking up a book back there?
I couldn't help myself. All these incredible volumes turning to ash. I just wanted to save something. This journal was resting on a desk as I ran past, so I picked it up. Of course, the one item I decided to save is completely illegible.
Well, how do you know it's a journal then?
The casualness of the handwriting. All the little notes in the margins. Several tea stains on the pages. When you spend as much time reading books as I do, you recognize these things. Even with the words all jumbled around, I can tell.
This new section has the same enemies, plus a few new ones. True Sworn Cauterizers, Eternal Guardians, Fire Behemoths, which remind me of Titans born of fire, and a few other common enemies like River Trolls. We finally catch up with the Pyro Turd in Krates in the next area. He looks like a samurai.
Small creatures. The book belongs to the True Sworn.
If he thinks the book is here, then we have to stop him.
He really loves his fire abilities. Either we have to stay out of his range or within clear view during certain parts of the fight. He also calls forth burning specters and fire behemoths. After fighting him down to about 50% health, he exclaims,
I must not fail. Blasted from history.
He runs off to the back wall and breaks through, running off. At this point, it's best not to hesitate in following, as fire starts to fall from the sky. Following him a short distance, we have another chance to fight him. This time, we must remember the mechanic we learned before, as his fire ability will alight the upper ledge on fire, and we must jump down not to get hurt. There we'll find salamanders waiting for us. In normal mode, you can just ignore them. Just locate where the Pyro Turd is up above and use the nearest to him water spout to get back up. There's actually an achievement for this, so check that out before going too far into this dungeon. Annoyingly, we did discover in our case that if our whole team wipes here, we have to start back in the courtyard where we first catch up to him. Defeating him,
My heart's fire forges this blade.
I found it! I'm not sure this even has words. Just symbols. The more I look through this book, the more uneasy I feel. Something about it. I don't know. I wish I could understand these symbols. I know I have a job to do, but a little voice in my head says I should leave it here.
who do you think the True Sworn work for?
I wish I knew. Someone wanted this whole place in ashes. That tells me they have something to hide. But the last Longhouse Emperor died 5 years ago. Who cares what's down here? After I give over the book, maybe I'll look into this more.
What will you do with an encrypted journal?
I know just the person who would love to dive headfirst into solving this. He's a bit reclusive these days, but quite clever at figuring out puzzles. It may come across as silly, but I just have to know what it says.
Where will you meet Pharaoh Lupus?
Over in Riften. No idea why he's interested in the book, but my contact told me not to ask questions. Hey, if you find yourself in the area, we should meet. Maybe look into these mysteries together. More adventure!
Before we wrap things up, I'd also like to mention here that this is when you'd have a chance to fight the final secret boss, Sentinel Axelas, if you've killed the other secret bosses and have collected all of the needed avatar fragments.
Through your wisdom, you have earned the right to challenge me. I shall not go easy.
Whatever magic you turned on back there brought us some trouble. I saw you go back there and start fiddling with something. Then this stern-looking fellow popped from nowhere. Do you know what he wants? Seems like he's ready for a fight. If anything happens, I'll back you up.
At last, I am free.
Once he's vanquished, you have a chance of finding a tool, the Relic of the Sentinel, in one of the end of dungeon chests. This tool, if used in the dungeon, gives all party members the icy vision effect and reveals hidden treasures within Black Drake Villa. And now we leave Eveli here, but we will soon see her again in the prologue quest recently released, A Mortal's Touch and The Empire's Secret. We will also get to meet her contact, Feral Lupus, who she's taking the book to in the Rift. I had a lot of fun playing this dungeon, but who are those Truesorn cultists? Why were they here? Where did they come from? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. We know it has something to do with Oblivion and with Mehrunes Dagon. Is it for world conquest or something more sinister? We will soon find out. I will be back with another dungeon story. Until then, check out my weekly live streams and my uploads to YouTube. Links and info are below in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.